Quick question. Have you ever caught yourself planning for a conversation that hadn't even happened yet?
Yeah, or mentally running through worst case scenarios before you've even had your first cup of coffee?
What if that kind of preparation is actually what's slowing you down?
I was rereading The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, and one line smacked me in the face. Don't try to plan for every contingency. Man, that was me, overpacking mentally for a future that hasn't even shown up yet.
And once we started to run that idea through Coin, everything kind of clicked.
So today, we're talking about overplanning, mental overpacking, and how to lighten your load and lead yourself better.
Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Nature of Everything podcast with Bo and Clint, where we deep dive into the world of personal development through Coin. Confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything.
All right, welcome to the Nature of Everything, where we explore personal growth one coin at a time. Hey, I'm Clint.
And I'm Bo. And if you're new here, COIN stands for Confirm It, Own It, Be Intentional, and Change the Nature of Everything. And it's not just a mindset, it's really a method. It's how we close the gaps between who we are and who we want to be.
This isn't just a podcast. It's a community, and it's a practice, and it's a movement. On May 1st, we're dropping the COIN book. It's raw, and it's real, and it's packed with tools that have helped us move forward with clarity.
So if you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed, or maybe you're just hungry for more alignment in your life, this is for you. I mean, we've messed this stuff up, we've wrestled with it, but now we're sharing it. And not as gurus, but just as people practicing right alongside of you.
So today, we're digging into something that hits really close to home, and that's overplanning. You know the drill. Running through conversations that haven't happened yet, prepping backup plans for your contingency plans, and you're mentally packing your emotional suitcase for every worst case scenario that you can ever imagine.
And that's probably all before breakfast, maybe even before you put your pants on.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the kicker. Like I mentioned, I was rereading The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. In the book, they talk about don't try to plan for every contingency. Doing so will only overburden you and weigh you down so that you cannot quickly maneuver.
Which really makes sense coming from a guy who literally led Navy SEALs into combat zones. So I'm going to say if he's saying don't overdo it, then maybe I can chill out about that Zoom meeting I have coming up.
You know what? Exactly. The truth is most of us are carrying way too much in our heads. Not just prepping, but like fearfully, and not just planning, but with a sense of over control. And we're trying to script the future instead of just showing up for what's going on today in the present.
And let's get real for a second. There was a study out of Penn State that found that over 91% of the stuff we worry about, it never even actually happens. 91%.
Yeah, that means that most of us are working overtime in our heads, basically to protect ourselves from stuff that doesn't even exist. It's like we're building these bunkers in our brains for threats that aren't ever going to even arrive.
You know what? I really think it's sneaky because it feels productive and it could even feel like leadership. But when we look at it through COIN, we kind of realize that it's just noise. It's like fear wearing a business suit, and it's really just slowing you down.
So that's what COIN helped me see with this, is that when I look at Jocko's advice through the framework of COIN to confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything, his advice isn't just a cool quote anymore. It's practical. Like, I don't have to control everything. I just need to know what I'm actually carrying.
Because half of what's in that mental backpack, it might not even be yours. It's your dad's old fears or your boss's expectations, or it's your old high school gym coach telling you not to screw it up again.
I mean, and guess what? You don't need all that gear. You don't need all that stuff being dragged around because you're not prepping for the Hunger Games, man. You're just trying to get through Tuesday.
So exactly. So if you've been walking around weighed down by all the what ifs and the worst case scenarios, you're not alone, but you might be making it a lot harder than it needs to be.
I agree. So let's fix that. Let's start where COIN always starts, with confirm it. So you've confirmed what you're carrying. Cool. You've dumped the mental suitcase out on the floor, probably found a few items you didn't even remember packing, maybe a little guilt out of 2016, a little preloaded apology for next Tuesday, and at least one conversation you're still rehearsing from last month.
I think you've been thinking of picking my backpack.
Yeah, right. Get out of my backpack. Now comes the owning it part. And this is where Jocko's book kind of hit me in the ribs. You know, he talks about how leadership is rooted in responsibility, not just for the team, but for yourself, your habits, your mindset, even your overreactions. It's about seeing your patterns clearly and not just outsourcing the blame.
And look, that's the hard part, right? Because most of us have gotten good at blaming stress or timing or that one coworker who breathes too loud. But Coin says no. Own your pattern, own your defaults, because if you don't claim them, they're still running the show.
Exactly. And for me, it shows up as overplanning. Not because I'm so responsible. It's because I often don't trust myself to adapt in the moment. Traditionally, I've packed everything. My emotional Swiss Army knife, 12 versions of how a conversation may go, and an entire mental monologue that hell would probably win an Oscar if you could hear it in my mind. Maybe not how I deliver it, but it's there in my mind.
For sure. There are times that I've packed entire apology speeches for stuff that I wasn't even sure I was going to say. And I've worn that emotional armor into coffee shops. I mean, I'll go anywhere with it. But here's what changed with Coin. I realized that I wasn't planning for success. I really was just preparing to survive being seen.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the difference. When you don't know who you are, when you haven't met your authentic self, you try to prepare for every version of how you might be perceived.
So true.
And the worst part, practically none of those versions are even accurate. They're just safer to you.
And it's also exhausting. And that's why this step matters so much, because when you own your patterns and you really own them, you can finally stop running from them. You can say, okay, I get it. This version of me kept me safe, but I'm not that person anymore. And I don't need to overpack for every conversation.
Absolutely true. And when you know your authentic self, your real values, your actual strengths, you don't need 5 backup personalities, man. You're able to trust the version of you that shows up, even if they're a little imperfect, even if they have a stutter or a strong Southern accent, if they don't crush the presentation. I mean, it's still you, and it's sufficient that's enough.
And that is powerful to hear. And it would be even more powerful to say. I mean, that is the power of ownership. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about getting clear on who you already are so that you can stop performing and you can start showing up.
So that's what it means to own it. You've seen what you're carrying. Now you've claimed what's yours. And the next question is, what do you actually want to do with all of this?
And not bragging, but Coin does have the answer. If you've confirmed it, if you've owned it. So then comes a big shift, the pivot. It's where all the growth stops being conceptual and starts to be directional. It's where you become intentional.
And I'll say this right now. This is the part where Jocko and Coin really shook hands for me, because Jocko's big on purpose-driven action. He's not against planning. He's against overburdening yourself with so many contingencies that you lose your ability to maneuver.
Yeah, look, it's not don't plan. It's don't plan yourself into paralysis. There's a big difference between being ready and being rigid. And that should go on a bumper sticker. And I think this is where a lot of us get stuck. We try to plan out our fear instead of choosing action from alignment.
Well, and that's what being intentional brings for us. It's not a 47-tab spreadsheet and a color-coded timeline for your feelings.
It's not?
No, but it is asking, like, what matters to me? What am I actually aiming for today? In a sense, it's basically trading control for clarity.
And you know what? It really is knowing the difference between planning for a task and planning for your insecurity about that task.
Fair.
I mean, those are two very different things, and only one of them actually helps.
And, one of their quotes in the book was, overplanning becomes the enemy of mobility. And that's the heart of it. You're not meant to drag a contingency bag into every moment. You're meant to trust yourself and know your own values and move lightly.
Yeah, so maybe let's ask ourselves, what do we actually want to bring into today? What's essential? Like, what moves me forward with clarity? I mean, everything else, it's just noise and a clever disguise.
right? It's that fear in the business suit, right?
Yeah.
You know, when it still comes back around to that weird backpack question. If your life was a trip, what are your daily essentials? Confidence, compassion, placed boundaries, like pack those things. But if you're making sure of what you don't pack, like leave the guilt behind. There's no need for perfectionism. Keep that leave that in the room. And what if scenarios? Leave all of that. That's nothing but junk.
And here's the thing. Intentionality doesn't ever mean getting it all right. It means being in the room. I mean, it means being in the moment and making choices that reflect who you are and what you care about.
So yeah, you're not a weatherman. You can't predict every storm, but luckily they only have to get like 30% of those right anyway. So maybe you are a weatherman, but you can decide what kind of person you want to be when it rains. All right. So here's the part we usually tee up like it's a massive leap. But if you've walked through Coin, you've confirmed stuff, you've owned it, and you've moved with intention, this next part, you've already done it. You've already changed the nature of everything. It didn't happen in one big epiphany. It wasn't an overnight overhaul. It happened in those tiny choices and those quiet little shifts and those incremental moments. It was the Tuesday morning where you responded instead of reacted.
Yeah, like it snuck up on you. You stopped packing for the emotional apocalypse and you started showing up as somebody who knows their own values and probably not perfectly, but consistently. And maybe one day you look up and you think, wait, I don't freak out in these moments anymore.
Well, and there's the shift. And that's what Jocko and Leif talk about is developing discipline over time. So when that pressure hits you, you default to clarity. You didn't have to like barrel roll, movie flip, your way through life anymore. You trained for the life you actually wanted to live.
And you didn't need a crisis to change. You just stopped reacting from fear. You didn't need a new personality or a new job or a wellness retreat in the mountains. Although, to be real, it sounds nice. I mean,
it would be kind of nice for sure. I mean, retreats are great. But what actually changed everything was you. You made different choices when no one else was necessarily watching. You said no when it mattered. You showed up when you could have avoided something, or you avoided something that was something that you knew was going to be unhealthy for you. You stopped being at the mercy of your own worst case scenarios.
You know what? And I would say people notice. They're going to feel that difference. And not because you made a big announcement, but because you stopped hiding behind a mental go bag of outdated fear.
Well, you know what? That's also leadership. And again, that's exactly what Jocko and Leif meant when they says, real leaders don't just push, they evolve and they adapt. And through Coin, you get to do exactly that. I mean, you're your own leader in life and you get to stop micromanaging the moment and start responding and living through your own ownership.
So here's the celebration. Look at where you are now. You're not waiting for permission to be yourself. You're not rehearsing your way through life. You're here. You're fully in it. You're leading yourself, and not from panic, but from awareness.
And sure, look, life always throws curveballs. But now you get to trust the version of you that shows up. Not because you're perfect, but because you've practiced. Mm-hmm. And that practice, that's what changes the nature of everything.
You know what? So go ahead. Take a breath. Feel that pride. And say it out loud if you need to. This feels different because I'm different.
And that's it. That's the work. Also, that's the win. And now you get to take that and you simply continue to practice it.
Yeah, look, and I also want to go ahead and say this. None of this stuff is easy. This is not the 5 tips to a happier morning. I mean, this is the real gritty, sometimes messy personal leadership. I mean, living at this level, it takes clarity, courage, and a whole lot of self-compassion.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, this is the work. And this is the work that most people probably avoid. I know I did for a long time and have in many occasions. It's that high level living. And that means you're going to fall on your face sometimes. But remember, it's not failure. It's feedback. You'll continue to overplan. You'll also continue to overreact. And then you'll remember, oh yeah, well, hold on. I'm practicing and I want to put my practice into play. This isn't about being flawless. It's about being faithful to the process and continuing to practice.
Look, and that's really where grace comes in, because growth doesn't come from crushing it. It comes from staying in it, like choosing to show up again, choosing to try one more time. I mean, even if your last attempt looked like a dumpster fire.
That's fair. I just want to give another shout out to Jocko and Leif. Their book, on Dichotomy of Leadership, huge part of this episode, really rung a bell with me. And look, I get it. They don't know it. Jocko and Leif, they don't know it, but we're probably best friends now.
Yeah, Clint's got a new role model, everybody. I swear, he reads one book and suddenly he's channeling a Navy SEAL wisdom like he's been bench pressing fear since 1997.
Bench pressing fear since 97. Yeah, hey, what can I say? We're just vibing, man. They bring the fire. I bring like slightly less intimidating fire, more like dad energy, but I'm bringing it. It's fine.
Don't worry, I'm not jealous. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm just going to go journal about it and drink water or whatever Jocko would want me to do.
Yeah, definitely drink water. And look, while Bo's getting over his feelings over there, just know that if today's conversation resonated in any way, there's more where this comes from. And I want to remind you, the coin book drops May 1st. And it's loaded with everything we've talked about here, plus a lot more. It's real and it's raw. It's basically a field guide for practicing a better version of you.
Yeah, so head to coinyourlife.com, join the email list, check it out, download the 10-minute daily check-in, but most importantly, connect with us. Be a part of the community that's not pretending to be perfect, but we're just committing to getting better, one choice at a time.
And hey, if this episode made you laugh, made you think, it hit you in any way, maybe you put down a little bit of that emotional backpack, lightened your load a bit, then share it. Hit the subscribe button, be part of this, and I promise someone in your life might need to hear this too.
I dig it.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out coinyourlife.com and find us on social media.